This video is about what to do when you are greeted with rage. There are several things you gotta remember when someone is angry, raging at you. To find out what those things are, please stay tuned to this video. Welcome to the SCG Show, the home of education entertainment, and please do me a favor, if you really enjoyed this video, smash that like button. I would really appreciate it. Sadly, I've lost count how many people have gone on full-on Hulk mode with me or towards me. Sometimes I deserved it. I may have antagonized them, wound them up. And other times I never deserved it. And people assumed I would just lay there and take it. AKA be an emotional punching bag. What's the definition of rage? Rage is defined according to Google as violent, uncontrollable anger. Now, full disclosure, you should 100% call the authorities if you're met with violence of any kind and by anyone. Never fight fire with fire. I've seen non-violent people lose control totally and end up with criminal records. On top of that, completely regretting their actions and the damage it has taken on their life. I remember a man telling me how he was driving somewhere to deal with somebody who was a drunk and abusive and disorderly. I was full of rage, said this guy. However, the cops got there just before he did. But if he had got there first, Lord knows what would have happened. We live in a very impatient, angry, entitled world right now, especially in the Western world. And this was even before the pandemic. People are blowing up, getting angry over the most minor things. Perhaps there's deeper rooted insecurities, other issues, other problems going on. My dad once for no reason just shouted and screamed at me in a restaurant out of the blue once. Turns out he had a lot of issues he was dealing with, but he never admitted it to me or anyone. And I feel sorry for him. I got up and left the restaurant when he shouted at me that time. There was nothing else to do. It was my only choice. Narcissistic rage is a whole other subject, but for the sake of argument, I'm going to stick to normal anger and normal rage for this video. Always remember you're not anyone's emotional punching bag. You always have the choice to walk away, and I will touch on that. For that being said, here's what to do when you're greeted with rage. I know it's easier said than done, and it's difficult. But if you try listening to someone who's really angry and full of rage, you can dissect that issue. Look, you're not their therapist, and you're not there to solve their emotional problems. But you can really help an angry person by listening. In fact, that was my problem with one of my exes. I once exploded after bottling up months of emotion and stress. I screamed at the top of my lungs. It was humiliating. Dating and being around a toxic person will have that effect on you. But rather than listen, my ex-narcissist antagonized me more and more, enjoyed my suffering. That's why they're sick. However, I exploded to a friend randomly a day or so later who wasn't doing anything. I was ranting and raving down the phone to him and he stayed silent. He never hung up the phone. He let me rant for about 10 minutes. I complained about everything and everything. I was having business problems, health issues, you name it. But he listened and waited for me to finish. "Are you done?" he said. "Yes," I said, trying to catch my breath. He continued. "This is the angriest I've ever seen you, SCG, in years. I get you got a lot going on, and I'm sure there's one thing that's bothering you more than anything." I was curious, and as I was calming down, I was like, "And what's that? What do you think's my problem?" He goes, "Your relationship," he said. "Your relationship sounds toxic. You're normally organized. You tackle problems head on. But you complain about your partner a lot. You clash a lot. What are you doing with her? Seriously?" Within a month of that conversation, I finally got rid of my ex-narcissist. By simply listening and getting to know my woes and complaints, my friend figured out my problem immediately. But also, the longer I shouted and screamed, he heard more about my relationship bubbling up from the surface. The truth is going to set you free. And it will also set the angry person free. When an angry tirade of emotion comes to your door, try to listen. Hear what is being said, even if it doesn't make sense. Again, the truth always comes out. Always. Now again, this may be easier said than done, but listening to a rageful person, you must remain calm. This is something I got better with but obviously I occasionally make a slip up. And there was a person who used to consistently get terribly angry and take it out on me. And there was never any sense or logic to the actions. But there came a time where I got used to their anger, and I expected their anger towards me. So when we were in the same room, depending on their mood, I knew an angry episode was going to come my way. And despite hurtful things, the volume of the voice and everything like that, I got used to it. And I got used to diffusing it as well by remaining calm and going grey rock. Now, the grey rock method is used to combat narcissistic people but can help with all forms of anger. It's basically a practice where an individual becomes emotionally non-responsive, boring, and virtually like a dull grey rock. Emotional detachment serves to undermine people's attempts to lure and manipulate, causing to grow uninterested and bored. The grey rock method really works. One of the final times I was met with undeserved rage, I did this method. I was greeted with the loudest amount of abuse and rage to date, all because I mentioned it was cold outside. And sadly, this was a place I had to be, but I no longer endured the rage. I imagined the grey rock as the rageful person was barking in my face. And I looked up and saw tears in their eyes. And they said, "I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. I need help." This person was treated with severe psychological trauma dating back to their childhood. They finally got their help they needed. It was a miracle. By not reacting and remaining calm and dull, it stopped them in their tracks. They finally saw the light and where they were going wrong, all because I just did nothing. It's like almost arguing with a brick wall. You can shout and scream, but you get no reaction. It is a wall. Try the grey rock method and do your best to remain calm. Are you enjoying this video? If you are, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Next up, you need to try and expect patterns and the worst. Rageful people are sensitive. They're a rage of emotions. And if you haven't realized, most people do operate in patterns. When I dated my narcissist, I knew she was going to act in a pattern. If she was never going to get her entitled way, she'd throw a tantrum. If she got what she wanted, she would still throw a tantrum. The angry person works in the same way. I noticed this with a guy I once worked with who used to always lose his cool and get mad. He would shout, scream for no reason. He'd get personal with his abuse. He'd lose his cool at the drop of a hat, just like that. And then I noticed this would always happen and he would be fine the next day. I dug a little deeper and figured out the root of his problem. He was in an unhappy relationship. His wife would occasionally cause him problems at home, and he would take that drama to work with him to his friends, extended family. And it was worrying him too much. So he would go home to anger and complaints from his wife and then go let his frustration out on everybody else in the world. And whenever this guy would lose his cool, I knew there was something wrong with him at home. And I called him out on it one day. When he tried to ruin our day, once again shouting, I said to him, "What is going on at home?" He fell silent. I pressed him further. "There's something going on at your home, I know there is. I want to help you. Unless you talk to me, you're going to keep wasting your life and our life by getting angry." He immediately left the office and didn't say a word. A month later, he called me out of the blue and said, "I'm unhappy with my wife. How did you know? I cannot believe I've been losing my cool the way I have. I'm stuck. What should I do? Help me." If you notice the patterns, you may find out what triggers people. When I was in a vortex of rage myself, my friend knew immediately it was my relationship. And I'm not just saying your relationship is the root of all your problems. Keep a weary eye for people and how they act. You never know what they might be going through behind closed doors. Finally, walk away. I pride myself on being the YouTuber that encourages people to just walk away from stress, anger, drama, toxic people. The same should be said with rageful people who are right up in your face. If you've tried listening, tried reasoning, tried talking, helping, none of it works, walk away. Now, am I saying walk away from them completely? Well, if they're violent and abusive, toxic, sure. If they're narcissistic, sociopathic, psychotic, absolutely. You're going to gain nothing but more misery by allowing that behavior into your life. However, if they're truly in a dark place, an angry, stressful time in their life, walking away still is the right method, temporarily. You don't even have to say it, just do it. People need to calm down. They need space to think on their own sometimes. I remember my own mother losing her cool with me for no reason, and I tried everything, but it didn't work. And I said to her calmly, look, I'm going to leave you alone. I hope you calm down and feel better. I shouldn't have said it, but I did. And I left for a long time, 7 hours. When we returned, we kissed and made up, and she said she was just overwhelmed with work and other issues. You can even apply going for a walk to calm down when you are angry yourself or at home with other people. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. That's from Mark Twain. Stay calm, everything's going to be alright, and thanks for watching.